But the other thing about the business, which again, the second generation and third generation begin to understand, which the first generation often does not understand, is that giving life, which is providing energy and making it matter, in the business world is a generative act, and that new life has its own evolving self. The families that look like they still hold the businesses never tell you how many evolutions that business went through. They see the business as a living, organic thing. And then they start telling you where it started doing one thing. Maybe they were building some houses, like my grandfather was a great grandfather was an inventor, and when he had a little money, he bought houses because he didn't believe in banks. Then he realized that the mortgage holder was a better deal than biting the mortgage. So he started a bank. So if he asked one of his children, he said, we were bankers. You know, you were an inventor of a German guy who had to go fight in the Civil War to get enough money to live. So he came from Germany, didn't fight there. It's an immigrant story. But the business itself was a constantly evolving reality. So what I try to help the second and third generation is to say, look, don't look at the question who works in the business. Look at the question first of your learning to love and your vocation. Who are you? And then if one of you is interested in the next transition and evolution of that business, please help us. We love you for that. But let's not see the business as a sacred trust because we kill the business. We put it into preservation and formaldehyde. What the business needs is dynamic regeneration, right? Because that's how life works. So
yeah,
we have, isn't it remarkable, the tools that we have to help? The tragedy is when the thinking gets so narrow that there's only one option. And that's just not true. That's preservation, that's formaldehyde. That's the poor frog in frog that we have to dissect in high school. It just doesn't work. The business has got to be dynamically regenerating, just like the family that owns it has to dynamically regenerate, just the way Mother Nature says the rules are. Please, Martin.
Please, I mean, this is fascinating. I know I'm aware of our time, and this could go on, from my point of view, all day. Because it's amazing. Just bringing you back to, you mentioned it very early in the conversation, Lao Tzu, and the whole Tao Te Ching. And I think what we're talking about there in terms of the spiritual aspect is what they call the Tao, which we would call the universe, is a sort of the natural flow from one thing to another, and it's way beyond our understanding. But we've tried to go with the flow. And I think when you take it to a family business context, if, like my younger brother was, he wasn't interested in business, but he was an amazing musician, his flow is to music. And can the family help his flow be fulfilled? While the other members of the family maybe have different flows, but all within the one big flow, if that makes sense.
Yes, and Martin, I think if we were not dissecting Lao Tzu, but if we were trying to understand the way, and people ask me that, I don't believe I have a good answer, but I can say to them, if you agree that the deep currents in the oceans are how life on this planet exists, we might have a hint of the magnificence of what Lao Tzu was asking us. So then how do we get into the flow of the deep, long currents and get out of the choppiness on the surface? Now we have to have a joint decision-making system, the social capital, that takes us not to the chop of our feelings about each other, but to the deep currents that support us. That people say, I see what you're saying. And they say, well, that's not easy. I said, I didn't say this was easy. Remember, Mother Nature's rule is energy to matter back to energy quickly. Entropy in the second, you can't argue with physics. That's big physics. You can't argue with big physics. And one more thing on big physics. There are three forces. Fission, blow up, too much heat. Inertia, die from cold. Fusion, 1 + 1 makes 3. Almost no families die from fission. That sells newspapers. Almost every family I haven't been able to help died from inertia. Bodies resting each other with no connection. The families that do really well practice fusion, practice our sun. 1 + 1 makes 3. Isn't that fascinating? Big physics. You say, how did I want the audience is saying, how did I wander into this conversation about family business? And this crazy maniac is talking about big physics and Mother Nature and entropy. Well, because the rules are the same. We're all
Absolutely.
living in the same universe with the same rules.